lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan.
And I'm Manny.
Back with another episode of the Weekly Pull. We are talking our favorite books of the week. There was a lot that came out, so I don't know. Maybe there's going to be some other favorites, but these are the books we picked to talk about. Huge week, dude. Of
man,
comics.
I came home with a fat stack.
Same. I think this is. I think we talked about this maybe a couple of weeks ago, where I had a big stack of books. I think this is even more. I think 17 books came out for me this week. Obviously, a couple. I double dipped on a couple. Yeah, some really good stuff to talk about.
You want to start with Darth Vader?
Yeah, let's do it. So Darth Vader, black, white, and red. I don't know which cover you got. I got the Delodo cover.
Okay, no, I got this one.
I love these books. I think it's pretty much a given now that they're going to do those treasury editions. So I kind of just wait. I may read like the first issue or something. Like I'll grab it at the shop, I'll borrow it and bring it back. I love Star Wars. I didn't have the patience.
I do too. Although I don't really read a lot of the Star Wars books from Marvel currently.
I haven't read a lot of it. I read most in the beginning. I did. Like in the beginning when Jason Aaron came on and Kieran Gillen, I was reading those.
Like I really love the early Star Wars one that Jason Aaron did with Cassidy, with John Cassidy. That was a good there's so many of them. You know.
I recently got the Kieran Gillen Omnibus too that came out, so I bought that. I love what they've been doing with it. I can't get everything. There's too much, so I kind of pick and choose. But this is a good one. It's a 4-issue miniseries, like most of the Black, White, and Red, and I love this kind of concept.
I do too.
It's like Batman Black and White. It's what they did with Superman, the white, red, and blue. So
they did Carnage, Black, White, and Red too.
Moon Knight, they did. Elektra, they did.
There's always something good in them because they go for really good artists, is what I feel.
And anthologies are something they don't. I wish there was more. And I'm cool with it being an anthology on one character, but it's cool to see voices with these characters that you wouldn't normally see. So I'll just read the credits real quick so that we don't have to do it as we get into it. First story is Jason Aaron with Leonard Kirk on art. The next story is Peach Momoko. She's a writer and artist. And then we got the last story by Thorin Grombeck and Klaus Janson. I mean, just so good.
Fucking Klaus Janson, man. He doesn't,
he's not doing a lot. He's not doing a lot.
No, he's not.
So really, really cool that they decided to do a Star Wars one of these. To be honest with you, it wouldn't have crossed my mind for them to do it. Like it made sense that they were doing it with their characters that they the Marvel stuff. Yeah. But to see them do it and then with Darth Vader, that's perfect. Especially because his whole costume is black.
Right. And then he's got the red lightsaber too, So so it's like, all right, well, you got both colors, you got all three colors right there, I
don't know. I liked all the stories.
I did too.
But I think that Jason Aaron's was probably my favorite.
Yeah, that was probably the story I enjoyed best. The art I enjoyed best was probably Klaus Janson's. Because I really liked the sort of like zipatone effect he was using on some of the art,
Yeah, that stuff was dope. Yeah,
and obviously Peach Momoko's story was also beautiful, man. I mean, honestly, like every story in here is a banger, in my opinion. They're all different enough to warrant being like in this anthology, they're all stylistically different, they're all like thematically different.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's good. It's not repetitive, which and it's hard to do because you got to tell the stories in like 3, 4, 5 pages at the most, and you can tell that these people weren't also cashing it in. Like this is like a passion project. I feel like when Marvel does these Black, White, and Red, like people want to jump in and do them because it's such a neat concept, to work with like that kind of limited color palette. That I think it invites artists to want to do it. So that's why they get like these artists that aren't usually, doing mainstream work anymore, or if at all.
Yeah, agreed. And I think it's also a way for like the commitment is not very big in terms of they just do a quick little story.
And variety, man. You get a variety. Yeah. If you don't like one story, you're gonna like the other. Like I like you said earlier, buying the first issue of a Black, White, and Red series is something I usually automatically do. Just because I'm like, I'm gonna get something out of this. There's going to be something cool,
Yeah. And I think look, each story in here is different. Jason Aaron's is like directly Darth Vader, right?
Yeah.
Peach Momoko's is like a dream sequence of this woman, and it's like very like an abstract type of story. And then you
Yeah,
have
it's wordless too, which is what I love. There's not,
wordless,
yeah.
and then you have Thorin Grombeck's story with Klaus Janson. That one's not even really with Darth Vader in it. It's just he's like this specter that's looming over the story. So
Yeah.
every single story is completely different. Like I like each story for different reasons. The reason I like the Jason Aaron one the best is because there's a couple lines in here that just for me hit. Like this dude that's talking shit back to Darth Vader. Like as I was reading, I was like, dude, you're an idiot. Like I can't. I like that's what I
Yeah,
was saying.
yeah.
Like the
It's like,
second
who
video,
the
I'm
fuck
like
do you think you are? You know, like,
exactly. And then you have like the fighting sequence in here, and the the bright like the way that they use the red to light up the room because of the
yeah.
I think that that's pretty dope. And Leonard Kirk just like filled it on the art. And I love that this is going to be a multi-part story. This is going to be in each issue. So I think that that's another thing that I really enjoyed. Peach Momoko's stuff is just, I mean, it's always good, but like this is just
Yeah.
so different. It felt like I was watching like an anime short. Like it had a
Yeah.
very like cinematic thing to it, didn't it?
Yes, I was gonna say like it's very fluid and it's very cinematic with like the panel like progression.
This like again,
Dude,
this
that like this, I thought this was amazing right here.
yeah, I love. I mean, look, this.
And then I also love the final page, like the TIE fighter, like
Yeah,
looking like an eyeball, like
I realized I didn't
she's
show this off for the Leonard Kirk stuff, but this was the page I was talking about when I was lighting it up. I just
oh yeah,
want to
yeah,
show that
man.
off. But yeah, like and then you were talking about like Klaus Janson was like the use of the zipatones and stuff, and I love this too. Like with the lighting of the lightsaber.
Yeah.
It's such a cool like that's what I love about the red aspect. Like it's the lightsaber, so the way they can utilize it too to light up the particular room that they're in is pretty cool. I think that Marvel for the most part, I'm not going to say every single book they do in Star Wars is a hit, but for the most part they do a good job and they get some good creators on it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they've definitely like done what probably the in the history of Star Wars comics, they're probably like the ones that have probably done it the best. I mean, I loved a lot of the early Dark Horse stuff
I think
from
Dark
back in
Horse
the
did it the
day.
best, if I'm being completely honest. Dark Horse
Do
is the
you? I'd
best.
have to go back and reread because I know I really enjoyed them when I was a kid, But like
Well, I'm not going based off to when we were younger. I mean, when you were younger, obviously you're older than me, but that's
yeah,
besides the point. But like even when I was younger, I'm thinking more in terms of the stuff that they did closer to the end of them not having the license. So when they were doing Knights of the Old Republic, when they were doing Star Wars Legacy with like 1,000 years in the future, like the John
yeah,
Ostrander stuff. I mean, Brian Wood did some really cool stuff. They did a lot of really good stuff, and like they expanded on the Star Wars thing. Like they were doing stuff that wasn't in the movies. They went past Return of the Jedi. I feel like Marvel is playing it safe at times. Like the stuff is good, but I'm saying in terms of like where they
yeah,
fall in line, like they're telling us in between 4, 5, and 6. I want to see past 6. I want to see Luke as a Jedi Master. I want to see all that other stuff that flesh that stuff out.
yes,
This. So that's the only reason why I think that if you ask me, I would say I think Dark Horse.
yeah,
But I'll also like they had it for a long time, dude.
yeah,
They had
yeah.
that license. So
And
I mean,
they also didn't have to worry about like really fitting into like the continuity that Disney's trying to build now too, which
yeah, true,
it's safe to say that like all these Marvel books are in canon now. They're not part of the Star Wars Legends stuff.
right. But if you were to say like in terms of talent, I guess Marvel put bigger names on the Star Wars books.
Yes, they did.
Like they definitely have like bigger names attached to it. But yeah. Anyways, that's what I mean. Now we're going into Star Wars conversation. But like the book's good. Go pick it up. I really dug it. I think everybody that's a Star Wars fan will dig it too. And even if you're not a Star Wars fan, if you like this concept of black, white, and red, or whatever,
Yeah,
black and white.
honestly, Vader was a good choice because like he's I don't know, Darth Vader's a pop culture icon. Like you don't need to be a Star Wars fan to know who the fuck Darth Vader is. So if you just want to pick up a good comic, yeah, man. Because I mean, all you need to know is that Darth Vader is an evil, badass.
Let's talk Green Arrow next because I'm very anxious to talk about it. I don't think I can wait
Okay,
any longer. Green
and
Arrow's on.
I gotta thank you for like because I don't know if I wouldn't have picked this up if you didn't kind of kept me hyped for it and like reminded me like how much I love Green Arrow because like I fell in love with Green Arrow when Kevin Smith wrote his run with Phil Hester. You know what I mean? Like that came out at a really important point in my life when I was getting back into comics and comics. Like my dad was sick and comics were like my safety net.
Uh-huh.
And like I just really fell in love with Oliver Queen. And then I even followed the title for many years. So like I think I want to get back to reading Green Arrow because I fucking missed Oliver Queen,
I
you know?
hope that
Like
this book does well enough that it gets an ongoing because I
yeah,
know
it's a
that
6 issue mini, yeah.
because when I talked to Williamson about it, like he's been wanting to write Green Arrow for a long time. And I think one of the earliest interviews I did with him, he talked about wanting to, like where he had a pitch for Green Arrow, but that there were other people that had pitches in and they were going to do it and they fell apart. Like they didn't get pushed forward. Dropping the lead. But Joshua Williamson's the writer, Shanazaki is the artist on the book. But anyways, like I started with Longbow Hunters by Mike Grell. And
Yeah, I do have that. I read that retro, like I read that after the Kevin Smith thing because I was like, I started getting hungry for Green Arrow stuff, and I
yeah.
started going back and reading more stuff from him.
So
Like
like that's where the love of Green Arrow started for me. And then obviously I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. And so when he took over that book, I was like, oh dude, I'm here for it, you know?
I even love
And
the TV show Arrow. I thought that was like I love that
same.
too. So like
Yeah.
yeah,
So, I mean, like, look, Green Arrow is prominent, or I guess you can't see it. Hold on. Prominent on my arm, like right there.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, I love the character. I've been pissed that he hasn't had a book for so long. Like I feel like Green Arrow should always have a book, or at least like not have this long gap without a book, which it's been like a couple years. But yeah, I think that he's one of the best characters. I've always been, I don't know why, but since I was young, I was always fascinated with like the Archer characters, like Hawkeye,
Yeah.
Green Arrow. So it's cool to have, and even like this cover is a double page or is a wraparound.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it is awesome, dude. And like just the people on the cover are awesome. You got Peacemaker there. You got Blockbuster. You got
Yeah, you have Diggle, which
yeah.
they're bringing that in. You have Onomatopoeia. I mean, dude,
Yes,
like
I've got. You know what? I didn't even notice he was there until just now, dude. Like that's
yeah,
fucking awesome.
I mean, look,
Cheshire
like
Cat.
yeah, dude, Red Canary. You got Arrowette up there. So, dude,
Yeah.
I'm just so stoked. Like, first of all, Joshua Williamson to me, I think he's kind of like a Mark Waid to Jeff Johns. Deep love, deep
Yes.
history of DC. So like he'll do all these cool callbacks, and I love even just from the opening pages, like you have Oliver Queen washing up on a beach.
Yeah, it's
You,
it's a really great first issue because it recaps Arrow's Oliver's origin enough to catch up like maybe a novice, but it also isn't like boring. Like if you already know what happened to Oliver, like you sort of are gonna enjoy it too. And I also loved like it's on the cover, like visually and with words, like the family aspect that they're pushing in here. You know what I mean? Like because like Batman and like Dick Grayson, Oliver more so like Dick Grayson, Oliver is someone that people love. So like his unit is usually more familial. Like they have like deep bonds and like right off the bat, Joshua Williamson is like leaning into that, which had me hooked. Right away.
yeah, and then I think this
Dude,
opening to
beautiful, man.
that, yeah, opening to that, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, where the
Like,
hell
where
is
the hell is
Oliver?
he? It's like, okay, so he's not just on a fucking island here, like
Yeah, and I love his narration. Like Williamson just gets Ollie's voice perfectly. I love the way he's narrating. And then you follow it up with this, recapping his whole history. Um,
yeah,
from him being an asshole when he was like, some rich douchebag. And then you get him
yeah,
on the island. He's like, all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm wearing green pajamas and jumping off buildings. Like,
yeah,
and I've, trained with some bad people, worked with some good, and he's talking about training with Merlin, working with Hal Jordan, which is like one of the best friendships in comics. The hard traveling
yeah. Hard
heroes.
traveling heroes, bro.
That's
Like
that's a thing we should definitely cover on the channel. That's something we
yes,
haven't
man.
done.
I need to revisit those. It would give me a reason to want to
Yeah,
do it again.
I know that
Like look into
Absolute
it.
Edition's been sitting on my shelf, dude. I bought it right after Neil Adams
Oh, I
passed
need
because
to get that. I need to get that.
And yeah, so like, like just talking about, he says it right here, but the universe wanted more for me. Oh, and to answer my own question, you can call me, and then it flips to this. I love these kind of
I
things,
love,
dude.
you know what? I love that. It's like, to me, it was like a cinematic title, like boom, like almost like a Tarantino or something, where he just throws a title up, like really like a hard cut to it.
Yeah, and then you, like you said, like this is
And it's
about a
called Reunion Part One. I love the title too, Reunion. Like it's like it means so much on so many levels.
yeah, this book is about family. That's what
Yeah,
it's going to be, and it's so evident here. There's so many different things. I mean, he looks shooting arrows isn't the biggest thing that change that happened on the island. Before I washed up on the beach, I never considered myself a family man. Never wanted to settle down, have kids. But now look at him. He is a family man. You know what I mean? He's got Roy Harper, and I love the way we get these introductions to everybody. How he's describing them. He's telling us who they are. And you got Connor Hawk and stuff, and so you have like the present, and then on the bottom you got the little past memories with them, right? and
yes,
and then you got Black Canary, obviously the love of his life. I really
Pretty
love,
Bird.
yeah, I really love Cheshire Cat.
Yeah,
So she's been in the Catwoman book for a little while. She was kind of a side character. Spoiler alert, if you don't know who it is, it's Leon Harper, Roy's
yeah,
daughter. And Roy was dead for a while. Roy got brought back to life. He hasn't had his daughter. He's been looking for her. And the way, like, first of all, I was smiling the whole time I was reading the book this morning. I was reading
yeah,
it. It was the last book I read. I saved it. And just like the interaction between them. And he's like, you threw your first ninja star when you were 2 years old. And I started getting like choked up.
yeah,
Because like I'm a dad, dude. I got a little girl. So like these
yeah,
kind of moments like hit me differently than they would have hit me before I was a dad. So then he's like talking about how like, I was so angry at your mom for teaching you, but I couldn't have been prouder. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, you loved Halloween, but never had a sweet tooth. And like, my daughter was 5 when she was taken from me. It was the worst day of my life. And like dude, it just hits. And then the way he's like,
yeah.
I'm here when you're ready, and you see her like getting choked up, like, and just like the one tear dropping. Oh my
Yes,
god,
man.
dude. I mean, and
And
then the hug, and like you have him like, and then it's like in the background you have him holding her up as a little girl, like, oh dude. And then she's like, ain't dying to Uncle Connor. I'm like, I'm smiling again, dude. I love this book, dude. It was my favorite book that I read. I don't think anything else in my pile is going to jump to being my favorite book of the week. This is hands down my favorite book. It's probably because of the connection that I have with the character, how much I love Green Arrow.
the story is good. I mean, we don't know where Oliver is. He's stuck in somewhere. I think I mean, it could be. It looks like it's another planet, maybe, or a different dimension. Like it's hard to tell. And he
Yeah.
looks
Well,
badass in this image too.
oh yeah, dude. Yeah, and then you also like real quick, like Connor and Leon get taken away. And then,
Yes,
but she says, find Amanda Waller. So that's going to be a connection, which is why we have
yes.
Peacemaker on the
Which is why
cover.
we have Peacemaker and probably like Task Force X slash Suicide Squad in there,
How about
and I
that?
love that we have the Manhunters in here too, like the robotic
Uh,
Manhunters. Like
how about that chainsaw
I
arrow?
was, yeah, I wanted to save that for the end. I was like, because in the back matter, there's an interview with Joshua Williamson, and he says that like they introduced his favorite new arrow into the arsenal of arrows, and I'm like, yeah, dude, the fucking like what a concept, a chainsaw arrow, like
Yeah. But yeah, dude, this book is just so good. I can't say enough about it. It's
yeah. I
such a
mean, this
great book.
Dawn
Go
of
pick it
DC
up.
stuff is pretty good, like definitely better than like the new 52 stuff, which turned me off of DC for a minute.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think it turned
So
a lot of people off. But yeah, this is it's a great time for DC. Go pick up the book. So
so
next up we
yeah,
got Ambassadors issue 3. Mark Miller, Travis Charest.
Travis Ray, who hasn't done art in like, I mean, like, I mean,
It
I
has
guess we could talk about.
yeah, it hasn't. I talked to a customer about it yesterday. I was at the job. So Manny and I did an interview with Mark, and we talked about this issue. So this it's gonna drop a few days after we're posting this weekly poll.
Yeah,
But yeah, he told us like 3 years, right? Did he say
yeah,
3 years it took for this issue to be drawn?
3 years,
So
yeah. And Travis Ray hasn't drawn a comic in, I mean, since when he was on Wildcats, maybe, or like,
I don't know. I feel like he might have done some
yeah,
stuff in between, but yeah, he's not drawing regular
Yeah.
comics, you know. So it's a treat to get to see his art, and
And it's so beautiful, man. It's such
yeah.
a beautiful book. Like I forgot what a fantastic artist he is, you know? Like, and if it took him 3 years to draw this, like, man, let him take the fucking time if it's gonna look this good. I mean, like the detail in that opening panel with like Paris and you know, it's just like it's so his attention to
You
detail is unparalleled,
you
man.
gotta wonder
Unparalleled.
though, how long has this book been sitting there? You know, because like have all the issues been just like he's been sitting on them?
And I love that Mark is like he'll wait the 3 fucking years because he knows that Travis Charest is gonna fucking kill it on this. You know, like we've talked about before, like you know, at his heart, Mark Millar is a huge comic book fan, and he's like, no, I want Travis Charest to draw this, and if it takes 3 years, it's gonna take 3 fucking years. He has that kind of clout, and he's willing to do that, and like, I love it, man. I love it. You know, like,
Yeah, you know, I think that this one, what I love about this too is not just the fact that, you know, like we're getting, or this series, it's not just the fact that we get different artists each one. The concept is cool with the whole smart bands and being able to utilize different powers, but you two heroes can't use it at the same time. And this one is about a mom and her son, you
a
know,
single mother
a single mother.
raising her
Yeah.
son. Yeah,
And I love that, you know, she's because that's what's cool is you have the narration is them writing to Chun Hei Chung's whatever company, right, to try to get powers and try to kind of like give their reason why they should become an
right. Yeah,
ambassador.
yeah. Which you know, which we've seen now different versions of this with each issue, and like it's I love how each issue has had like a different person become a different hero for different reasons. And like I love the setup in this one with like the mom and the son because like how often do you I mean besides you know Batman and Damian Wayne and that's an entirely different like
Yeah.
you know relationship. You don't really see a lot of like I can't remember the last time we saw a mother and son superhero team. You know?
Yeah, I think it's cool too how like it opens up in the wall and it's like almost like a like the fire pole, you know, like with
Yeah.
Batman and Robin, but it's not. It's like a
Yes.
ladder that they're climbing down. And she tells, you know, oh, this is our secret headquarters. And she's like, now we're gonna be. She's like, I'm codenamed France. He's gonna be Paris.
And
It's
I love the writing too, like the Warhammer references. Like I'm a big gamer, and like you know, Mark Millar, like I love that when you really read his comics, like his fucking you know like geek cred just comes flowing out, man. Because like he's someone that loves all this stuff that we do, and he just injects that into his stories, man. Like pure
yeah,
love for all this geeky stuff. Like you said, like that setup is like classic, like Batman '66. You know, like
man.
yeah. Dude, yeah, yeah. There was a. I think that there was a conscious effort to give this story that kind of a feel.
But then it also at the same time feels like with this leaving the note behind, that's like a Spider-Man thing to do, or like a
Yeah,
Daredevil thing. So like there's all these different
this
callbacks.
duel has been like the most classic superhero feeling
And then
from what
that's
we've
like the
seen.
Fantastic Car kind of, you
Yeah,
know, like that reminded me of that. So there's all different kinds of stuff. Like this book was beautifully drawn. So
yes,
dude, I left the shop not just with new comics. I brought home 3 different Mark Miller trades that I wanted to like do for the channel, you know, because I'm like I after talking to him, I got like all hyped again, like to
yeah,
read some
dude.
stuff that I haven't read, some new stuff. But yeah, I
Yeah, I
mean,
was
look,
telling a buddy of mine how great he was in the interview too. You know, like I'm just glad that Mark Millar is diving back into comics big time. You know, with all these Netflix comics because he's someone that I want to read comics from, and I'm glad he's doing them again. And this is, I mean, this is up there with some of the stuff he's done before. Like this is classic Mark Millar. You know, like
yeah, no, I totally agree, and it's so cool to
he
hear him
hasn't
say
lost his
that he
mojo, man. Like in fact, it's like it's gotten better. Like you know,
one of the biggest things I took from it though was the fact that he said he writes these for Netflix first, right?
yes,
He doesn't have to make them comics. He chooses to make
no,
them comics.
right, yeah. He said he doesn't get paid to make them into comics.
Yeah, so
You know, like yeah,
that's what's cool. That's what I love, and
yeah,
that's how he can basically afford to lose money on a book like Nightclub that's a dollar
yeah,
99, you know? And he's like, I'm not making a penny off of it. You know, like I can't. How do you on a comic that cheap? You
yeah.
can't anymore because it costs
Yeah, but
whatever.
he's I mean he's not you know he's made enough of Netflix that he can do that because again he just loves comics and it's
Yeah,
evident when you make comics like this like the Ambassadors you know that you love comics like
yeah.
this has been a fun series like probably like one of the biggest surprises for me this year is how much I've loved this series.
Same
Like, you know,
here, dude.
I knew I was gonna pick it up, but I didn't know I was gonna love it this much. And like, it's, you know, it's becoming one of the things I look forward to reading the most.
I know. I'm
And
gonna be sad
I
when it's
was
gone, kind of.
yeah, I was so surprised, like that it's, you know, a different artist every issue. Like, so much of this is so good, you know, and like
Mm.
such cool comics that like it's definitely something that you should be reading.
Yeah, and then obviously, like I'll spoil it real quick, but I think I guess if you don't want to know the ending, don't skip ahead. But I love the fact, the mom's ready to get the powers. But then you find out that just 3 days earlier, her son wrote it because she's talking or wrote them a letter on why his mom should get it.
And
Like
it
that's
was his letter, not hers. That
yes, that got her the
yeah,
powers. And it's crazy because like she wanted to look like, that she's a single mom. She wanted to look like a hero in her son's eyes,
and
because
she
like,
already did.
and she already did, dude. And that got me so choked up. It was like,
Yeah,
I don't know. A
yeah,
lot of
man.
the books
Like
this
for
week
people
have
that
like
say that
really hit.
Mark Millar is like, you know, a lot of criticism for him is like that he's somewhat cynical and like, but no, dude, like this story has so much fucking heart in it, you know?
Yeah.
Like the concept itself is all about heart. It's like literally giving people powers that deserve it because they're going to be altruistic and good, you know? Like it's not a cynical story at all. It's one filled with hope.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And it's interesting, the ending too, like where she ends up, where the son ends up. I think the ex-husband or the husband of the lady running the ambassadors is kind of doing something to oppose her.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great issue, dude. And then like, and then just seeing the art for next, Olivier
Yes.
Coipel.
Another favorite, man. You know,
Oh, dude.
he's pulling some great artists. Like, you know, he wants to work with the best, and you know, he'll do it. And he's
Yeah.
also great at pairing up the right issue with the right artist, you know, because like you know, this takes place in Paris, like one of the most beautiful cities in the world. You want someone like Travis Charest who's gonna be very detailed in his art to draw it.
No, totally agree, dude. I also really loving this book. I think it's so good. If you haven't been reading it, dude, you guys get out there, pick it up. I know they've done some second printings on at least number one. Maybe they would back to
Yes.
print on number two as well. I'm not entirely sure, but your shop should have them. Any good shop should have these books in stock. So go pick them up. Let's do Clobberin Time.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm down. So
Uh,
of course,
so good, so good. It's Steve Scroce, dude. Is like I for some reason I didn't realize that it was going to be different characters with the thing because I stopped looking at the solicitations too closely. But obviously based on the cover alone, things being like ripped apart, and you got Wolverine at the bottom, and
and he's like all fucked up too, man. You can see his ribs exposed and like
fucking a chunk of his leg is taken out. Fuck, dude, it's another dude, such another good issue. I mean, first of all, we had the Watcher in the first one, but this Watcher is like he's like a weird looking Watcher that's like overseeing this.
he's kind of like an outcast too, you know,
Look at
like
him, dude. The dude is like got scars on his face and shit. He's got like a gun strapped to his back or something, like a sword maybe coming out the side.
yeah, yeah.
So funny, dude. You have a clobber in time, an evening with Ben Grimm. So you
Dude, that I literally laughed out loud when I was reading that. Like
this is one of the ones I read this morning too. I
it's
just
such
couldn't,
a fun book, such a funny book too.
dude. It's so funny because like they're talking, like it gets asked a question like, well, who's stronger, you or the Hulk? Well, technically he is, but smell ain't everything, and then Wolverine's like, that line's older than me, Grim. And like they're in Krakoa. So
Yeah.
he's like talking to this other rock person, but like the way Thing is talking, it's like he doesn't sound like him. I don't want to, I'm not trying to be mean, but he sounds like hyper intelligent to a certain
Yeah.
extent.
And
It's
you
like
find out why, you know, like you find out why, yeah.
but I love how this mutant calls him out. She's like, well, respectively, sir, you were a cis white male until cosmic rays turned you into the thing. So your societal estrangement, while distressing, I'm sure, was relatively short-lived. And it goes further than that. But just like
Yeah.
her calling him out, and he's just like, he's like,
And it's
what?
an interesting play because like Ben Grimm is like an older guy, dude. He's from a different generation, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, but she's
like
basically saying, like, get the fuck out of here, dude. I was born this way. Like you
yeah.
had a
And
whole
she's not wrong, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and then you got this like four-armed mutant like saying like, "Don't expect to be instantly celebrated everywhere you go, bro. The age of evolution is upon you. Do your messianic image crafted somewhere else." It's just like I could not stop fucking laughing at this dude. And then he goes back to like the Ben Grimm we know, right? And he's like talking the way he talks, and then all of a sudden it's like, it's not my intention to condemn, denigrate, or vilify the sloppiness to flirts with the disaster of certainty. It's just like this, like a long diatribe of like.
And he ends it with namaste.
Yeah.
You know, like
And then Wolverine, what the hell did I just witness? You know, like they're at a fucking bar, and he's like, "What? He's like, I pontificate sometimes." You know, that then he tells what happened, and it was like this thing in his ear that Reed gave him so that he would sound smarter. But then we get into the cool stuff.
I just love the humor in this too,
Yeah. No, I it's great, dude. I mean, it's the last book didn't make me laugh like this, but this one was great, and then just like the insanity that ensues, like much like the first one with the fighting and like the body horror that Steve Scrocci's so good at. I love
Logan saying it's clobberin time, like
this double page is so great. And then that one guy that they're that they're fighting, what does he say? Here comes the Powie.
Yeah, he's like, I think you're thinking it's clobberin time. Yeah.
So that was another great one. Yeah, I love this. Look, it's so good.
Like that, this panel of Wolverine just like stabbing.
I know I could hear that sound like in my head when I was reading it. Yeah, and like just another great issue, dude. Like it's just a fun comic, like look at Wolverine's like body is just completely destroyed, like the skin and fucking meat is just burned off of him.
And the next issue we got Doctor Strange coming up,
Yeah, so just a fun comic. I mean, we don't need to like spoil anything here, but I think we said enough. If you don't want to pick it up based on what we just said, dude, I don't know. You crazy? You don't like good comics, man.
I mean, like the art alone, it should be a selling point for this.
Yeah, but the humor too, was so
Scrocci is one of the best artists out there, man. He's like equal parts Mobius and Jeff Darrow and all these like amazing artists, and he pulls from all those schools, and I just love it, man. Give this guy a miniseries, like he's perfect for this kind of stuff. Like we've said before, these are the projects I love to see from Marvel. More creator centric, teaming the right creator with the right character to give him like free reign to do. If you're gonna have someone like Steve Scrocci draw a thing book, you want to tell him, bro, go fucking nuts. You know what I mean? Draw whatever you want, because like that's what you're gonna get is this. And I mean, come on,
So good. Yeah. Last book talking about, this is issue 3.
Yeah,
The Last Ronin, The Lost Years. I mean, look, we've already talked about the first two. Basically, it's like the in-between, or it's the prequel to the first book, and then also at the same time, somewhat of a sequel.
Right, because we're getting the story of the new turtles that were introduced in that one.
Exactly. So we got these 4 young turtles. Each time we get into a new issue, time's jumping. So we're starting to see more of the personalities kind of come out. I love this. There's a scene like where it's one of the new turtles. She cut herself, and like calling her Grammy April. I love that. And they're sitting there, and she's like, let me tell you a story. And that's where we get into some of the past. Like she's talking about her time where she was going to spy on the purple dragons. This is before all the turtles died. I love the costumes they're wearing in this.
Yes.
Like that was really cool. Seeing Casey Jones too, like that. Like they just look so menacing, like these like reds and like blacks and stuff. Like so cool, dude. And I'm really excited to see what we get from those turtles again in the future. Obviously, they're going to be in the sequel of The Last Ronin when that comes out.
And we get to see like Michelangelo. Now we're seeing that he's been trained by various people. So you start to see what made him, why he was so different when we saw him in the original Ronin miniseries. Like you're starting to see that he went through a lot. It wasn't just the loss of his brothers that hardened him, but it was all these events that happened afterward. And like it seems thematically to make sense. Like I firmly believe that this is probably in the cards when they wrote that series. Like they're not retroactively going back and trying to write something to make it fit in. It fits in, for at least for me it does,
Yeah. I'm sure they had like little notes, and they're just expanding on those notes because
Correct.
he's
Yeah.
it's so great, like seeing him trained in different like forms of martial arts, and he's like learning different techniques and stuff. So I like that aspect of it. Him being kind of like on the road is kind of cool. Like him driving, and
Yeah.
his brothers in ghost form are like still talking to him. And I think the major thing in here that happens is he loses his eyesight, which
For a period of time. Yeah.
right, which like it doesn't carry over, obviously, because we saw him in Last
Yeah.
Ronin, he was able to see. But him being blind and him being in this new like little Mongolia, and realizing like, oh, okay, this tribe has a mutual enemy, Deathworm, which is who he's going after.
And I like the Tonka weapons he uses. Which did he have those in Last Ronin? I want to say that
I
he.
can't
I gotta.
remember. I feel like he did. I feel like there's an
Yeah.
Eastman cover, like a variant for number 1, where he has those tantas. But yeah, I
And
love.
there's a bit of characterization I love here when he's talking to like the spirits of his brothers and Donatello's like, I'm pretty sure those things have localized electromagnetic pulse capabilities too. Worth testing at least. A lot of good the EMP is gonna do me against force. A lot of good an EMP is gonna do against forces and ghosts, Don. Like such a Raphael thing to say, like always busting down his brother. Like
Yeah, no, it's great, dude. I mean, look, I love that aspect of him seeing them, like, because obviously we knew that happened in the original Last Ronin, but like him talking to this other like leader of this tribe, and how he reminds him of his dad. I think that's kind of cool. And this little girl that kind of like is his, not caretaker, but I don't know how to like describe her, but she's like
I
with
guess
him all the.
yeah, assistant is the wrong word, but something
Yeah,
like
but
that,
something akin to an assistant. I was gonna say that, but
Like
yeah.
a, like 'cause we talked about Star Wars today, almost like a Padawan maybe. Like maybe she's gonna learn from him too, but she's there to sort of like
Yeah, so I think that this is really great. He becomes attached to her, and he's been blind for quite some time or whatever. Like I think 2 years he's
yeah,
he's blind for, and he like all his senses are different, right? Or super heightened. So like he wants silence. He goes into. I think this is what's crazy is he goes into the water, and then like
yeah,
he sees the bullets
like
in the
yeah,
water.
almost like a sensory like deprivation tank.
Yeah, and then
And
like
again,
this.
it shows you like why, because when we meet him in Last Ronin, we're like everyone knows Michelangelo's personality. He wasn't like the most well trained of the turtles. He wasn't the most badass. But now when we meet him in Last Ronin, like he's very different in personality, and like we're starting to see why. Like he had all this other training his brothers never did, and all these other like methods and like disciplines of martial art. Like truly becoming a Ronin. Like he's got like many masters, but none currently. Like
Yeah, and it's not just that.
they're very,
It's so many more losses than just his brothers. He
yeah,
keeps
exactly.
losing people, so he
Because
keeps becoming
he
hardened.
rebuilds relationships and he loses them. So he's had a lot of tragedy happen to him afterward, and it makes for a much deeper resonant story when you go back and read Last Ronin now, knowing that he went through all this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I totally agree.
I love it, and like I was hesitant when I heard they were going to build more around Last Ronin, but
So was
if
I.
everything is going to be as good quality as this, man, I'm on board. And like I dare say it, I'm enjoying it even more than the current. I still read the current Turtles title, but I am
Same.
enjoying this more.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Look, I think
I've always read the fucking Turtles, bro.
yeah,
Always, like yeah,
IDW has kind of earned my faith in the property, because like
they've done great with the
they have done
property. They've done
such a
great with
good
yeah,
job with the turtles. And I think a lot, I want to say maybe not a lot of it, but some of it has to do with the fact that you have one of the original creators that's like you keep him involved, not
yeah.
just with this Last Ronin book, but he's been involved since they took the property over. I mean, what, in 2010, 2011? I don't know,
Yeah.
they've had it for a long time.
But I mean,
So
it's like you say that, and that's really, in a way, it's also not a very long time, and they've done so much awesome stuff with it in that time.
mhm.
Like really brought it back into the comics world. Like really, you know, invested a lot of like great creators in it. Like I think IDW has treated the property with the respect and reverence that it deserves,
I feel
because the
like they do
turtles.
that with most of their licensed stuff too.
Yes, yeah, but
I feel.
they're throwing creators that obviously love the property. Like even like the crossovers that shouldn't work, like Batman Turtles, which easily could have been a fucking cheese fest, was not.
I know. I
You know
just
what I
picked
mean?
up
Like
all three of them recently. I was like, dude, these are so good. I mean, look, and then they
the
bring
art,
like,
they're amazing, and the art is great, and like it works as a Batman story and as a Turtle story. Like, I mean, IDW has done nothing but treat the Turtles with the love that it deserves.
yeah, I totally agree. And I'm here for all things turtles. Obviously, I'll always buy a
Yeah.
turtles. But yeah, another great week of comics. Another awesome stack
Yeah,
of
man.
books.
I mean, like my wallet ain't happiest, but I am. You know, like
Yeah, sometimes you got to sacrifice that happiness with your wallet for the happiness of the
yeah,
comics.
bro.
So
I agree, man. You know, like I don't have many vices these days, but you know, collecting comics, if you want to call it that, is one, and I'm definitely gonna keep buying them. So
yeah, another like I said, another great week, another awesome week coming up. We already talked about the books that we're
yeah,
gonna be talking about next week, so I'm excited for that. And yeah, hope you guys dug this episode. Hope you join us again next Friday with our weekly picks. Check out some of the other stuff on the channel. Got Manny's links down below. My Comic Lounge links are down below as well. And on that note, we're out.
we'll see you next week, guys.